Hey, how's it going guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we have a really cool themed PC that's going to be around $1,700.
And it's all based around this beautiful case from Asus. It's gonna be red themed, it's gonna be Gundam themed, and yeah, I feel like if some of you at home will actually really like this case. But before we talk about each individual part and how it makes up this PC build, let's hear a word from today's sponsor.
Today's video is brought to you by LG and their new UltraGear 27GP 850 gaming monitor. This 1440p 165Hz monitor that can easily be overclocked to 180Hz has a nano IPS display, a 1 millisecond gray-to-gray response time, and a super clean UltraGear logo on the back. If you're looking for one of the best gaming monitors on the market, then you should look no further than the UltraGear 27GP 850 from LG. We will also be using this monitor to test some upcoming gaming PC videos, so stay tuned for that. Check the link down below to learn more, and special thanks again to LG for sponsoring today's video.
So as you guys probably know, we're more of the budget bros. We usually don't really focus on themed builds because they do tend to cost quite a bit more because you need to get custom sleeve cables, a custom made case, and also you need to find specific graphics cards, motherboards, etc. to get the right colors. So in this case though, the case actually really isn't too bad. Sleeve cables are relatively cheap. These graphics cards, which just happen to be black and red, are actually pretty cheap as well.
So how about we go ahead and talk about each individual part and how it makes up this custom gaming PC build.
So for the CPU, we have the latest and greatest Ryzen 7 5800X. It's an 8-core, 16-threaded processor, and we also have a very nice liquid cooler to go with it. This is the, let's see if we can get the glare out of here. This is the Intermax LickMax. This is the LickMax. It's literally the LickMax 3 ARGB, and we purposely got the ARGB version so that we could match the fans in here to make sure that we can hook everything up into one unit so we don't have to worry about having multiple hubs or anything crazy like that. And big thanks to Intermax for sending this over along with any other Intermax accessories.
Power supply.
For the motherboard, we have the Asus TUF Gaming X570 Pro Wi-Fi. So you're paying a little bit extra for Wi-Fi, by the way, but you know what? It's always nice to have the option. And this is just an overall nice X570 because they're cheap. You can usually get these around 200 bucks, and most X570s range from 200 all the way up to 1,000, so we like to go on the cheap end of the spectrum. Now for RAM, we have 32 gigs of RGB T-Force Delta RAM at 3600 megahertz. It's been a while since I've seen fast RAM like this, but honestly, RAM prices seem like they're kind of coming down in RGBs. Sometimes you can get a really good price on it, so hopefully we got a good price on this. Now for storage, we have the crucial P5 M.2 NVMe SSD. It's 1,000 gigs or 1 terabyte. We like NVMe because they just plug straight into the motherboard, no extra cables, and it's the fastest kind you can get.
Is it though?
Yes.
Now for the graphics card, we went with a GTX 1080, more specifically the MSI Gaming Twin Frozer GTX 1080. This has a red and black color scheme because obviously it's gonna match well with the case, and a 1080 performs somewhat in between a 2060/2060 Super, and right now they're a decent price. Yeah, they are still overpriced compared to other graphics cards on the market, but this is still a pretty decent value option if you're looking to get into PC gaming right now. Now for the power supply, big thanks again to Intermax for sending this over. This is the 700 watt Cyberbron, which is a power supply we've used a lot recently and we really like it. Now 700 watts would be more than enough for this PC build, but those cables are just all black, which normally is fine, but in a themed PC, we want to make it look nice and cool. And I believe this is like black, red, and gray sleeved cables. If it opens easy, you can show it. Yeah, look at that. A little bit of a red accent. We've got mainly black and gray. And yeah, it'll look really good in this case because, well, the case right here, as you can see, the Asus TUF GT301, I believe that's the model number. I think I just pulled that way out of nowhere, but where's the box? I think it's the GT301. Just to confirm, it is the GT301 Zaku 2, which is a case themed around Gundam, an anime that all our employees absolutely love. I don't care what they say, they watch it all the time. But we have a black and red theme here. We have, well, these straps, which are very similar to other tough cases that Asus makes. And yeah, tempered glass, a bunch of decals. So it's basically a themed build. Not super familiar with the anime, but you know what? It looks cool, and we're gonna make a really themed, cool PC build. Yeah, let's just put it all together and see how it performs.
Alright guys, now that we have this GTX 1080 gaming PC all booted up and ready to go, let's dive into a couple benchmarks real quick. Now we decided to test this PC in a couple of titles, those being Call of Duty Cold War, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Borderlands 3. Now I was really interested to see how well the GTX 1080 performs in 2021 because given the graphics card market, older 10,000 series cards are actually a little bit more affordable and have better price performance than some of the newer like 2000 series RTX or really any other graphics card on the market. So is the 1080 worth getting? Well, in our benchmarks with Call of Duty Cold War on medium high settings, we averaged over 100 plus FPS. In the games we tested, we tried to balance a mix between games that are more CPU dependent and GPU dependent, and Call of Duty Cold War is very GPU dependent, especially on higher settings, and being able to get over 100 plus FPS at medium high settings at 1080p shows that this card is still very capable of being a high refresh rate gaming card for pretty much any sort of esports or higher end AAA title if you are looking to play that in 2021 with a 1080. Now of course the pairing with the 5800X is a little bit odd. The 5800X is an incredibly high end CPU, but I'll talk more about that later in the benchmarking section. But for being able to play Call of Duty Cold War, we got a very smooth gaming experience, and I could easily see you getting 60 plus FPS at 1440p as well with optimized settings if you're looking to stretch into 1440p. Next up, in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, using the built-in benchmark on high settings, we averaged 108 FPS. This is our AAA benchmark of choice, and again, it goes to show at 1080p, you could easily get a 60 plus FPS experience in the latest AAA titles with a GTX 1080, and that 5800X is no slouch either. It does a really good job of balancing the system out and giving it the ability to do things like content creation and live streaming and video editing, content creation, video editing, photo work, and all that sort of multi-core demanding workload. Having a high-end CPU like the 5800X can really help with that. Now next up, in Fortnite on performance mode, which is definitely a test of the 5800X, we averaged around 240 FPS. In performance mode, the FPS numbers are really all over the place. We go from 140 all the way up to like 300, 400 plus FPS. That's just kind of what happens in performance mode for some strange reason, so do keep that in mind. But getting over 240 FPS is, well, pretty impressive and shows you can have a 1080p 240Hz gaming experience if you really wanted to. We were running on performance mode pretty much high settings, so you could lower the settings a little bit, lower the meshes and stuff, and probably get a more constant 240 FPS experience, because I know for sure the 5800X can handle Fortnite at that frame rate. So that's definitely something you should keep in mind. And the next game we decided to test was Apex Legends on max settings at 1080p, and we averaged around 90 FPS. Someone did tell me in the comment section on a recent video that the arenas mode is a little bit lighter than the actual main game, so do take these benchmarks with a grain of salt. The main reason why we do arena mode is it's much easier to dive into an arena mode match than it is to dive into a main game every single time when we run a benchmark. So keep in mind your FPS might be a little bit lower than you see here, but this is on all max settings. Not many people run Apex Legends on all max settings, so you can easily go in, dial the settings the way you want to, and get a high refresh rate gaming experience. Now I mentioned I was going to talk about the 5800X choice. You could go with something like the 5600X, but at the time of making this video, it's really a small price difference between the 5600X and 5800X. Yes, it's still like $100, but the amount of performance and cores you're getting for the extra $100 at a build that's already at the upper price point of almost $2,000 in this current market, it just makes more sense to get a 5800X, because when you upgrade that GPU later, you don't want to have the CPU holding back that new GPU upgrade. You could easily throw in like an RTX 3080 if you wanted to in this PC build and have a very smooth, awesome gaming experience with the 5800X. So if you're somebody at home who may have a GTX 1080, know you can get away with a Ryzen 5 5600X, or from Intel an i5 10400 or 11400 if you do want to save some money. But for our purpose, we figured the 5800X would make the most sense. And in the last benchmark, we tested Borderlands 3 on high settings. We got 81 FPS. In recap, this PC was really fun to build. We really wanted to test the GTX 1080 in 2021 and see if it is a still very capable card. And to my surprise, it still is a very good card. And for the most part, if you can get a really good deal on one, it's a really good option to consider. And it was really fun to do a theme build. If you guys have any suggestions for other theme builds you'd like to see on the channel, let me know in the comment section down below. But it was really cool to see this case and be able to build something a little bit more color coordinated than just the typical budget build we do here on the channel. So now we finished the benchmarking section of today's video. How about we're going to bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
Alright guys, so as you could tell, this PC still plays video games and it just looks so good while doing it.
Of course, the GTX 1080 is still a really good card in gaming on pretty much any title you throw at it in 2021. So if you are looking on the used market for a graphics card right now, do not be scared of 1080s or 1070 Ti's or any sort of 10,000 series card, because they do make some pretty good value for money graphics cards for your next gaming rig.
And if you guys like this themed build, let us know in the comment section down below what we should do next. We always have just random odds and ends coming. We actually have a tank themed PC coming. I'm not going to give you guys much more in that, but you guys know we've always been a little bit into the mod games, so we like doing it every so often.
So when you buy any of the parts from today's video, links in the description down below will be affiliate links and they will help us out. We'll try to leave links to the case and all the, well, components in this build. The graphics card was used, so it will do a generic eBay search, but you should be able to find it relatively around the same price of this PC build without any problems.
So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Hey, this PC is probably gone by the time this video goes live, but we're just saying, some of the coolest builds go onto our website.
PCBros.tech is our PC selling business. You can come in person in Louisville, Kentucky and pick up a PC like this yourself, or you can buy online. PCBros.tech, link down below. See you guys later. Goodbye.